which is that the Supreme Court decision keeps saying it's got to be a clear question. And one of the dangers is that the referendum that you introduced does not have a clear question. And one of the problems with the APP question is that it's in two bits. There's a do you agree that this and that, okay? Well, that's not, for my money, that's not clear enough. You gotta get rid of the and. What's the one question you're asking the people? And so there's going to be some complication in trying to get agreement on what this clear question ought to be.
Just to follow up on that, Bruce, could you tell us what exactly you think the question should be?
Well, I think it should be okay. Don't hold me to this wording, because I'm being a lawyer now, but the clear question should be whether you support Alberta leaving Canada. Alberta separating from Canada, period. Right?
So when we get the 50+1 and are launched into the unknown, what is to stop Ottawa from just saying, no, you can't leave? And if they do, then what recourse do we have?
Can I answer that?
Can we stop you?
Yes. If we're going to look at all we're going to do, look at the political aspects of this and look at the legalities of every step we take, we will never achieve our goal. It's up to you. It's up to the people to take control of this movement and not depend on political leaders to guide and direct you. It's your turn to guide and direct them. You elected them. And until the people take a hold of this and they direct their elected officials, this is what you will do, we will not achieve our goal. And just before I turn over the mic, I want to mention the guy that was harassing me. I want you to know that he's an AB 51 guy, and he has worked tirelessly for the AB 51 movement. He is a separatist to the core, and I didn't mean to be disrespectful because I know he's dedicated his life to independent separation in AB 51. Thank you, Jared.
We'll just go to Bruce next before we move on.
So this is a good question, though, right? So you pass a referendum. Ottawa says no, I'm not doing that. What happens then?
155.
Like, hold on. So now you are into a political game of chicken. Like, what does happen then? Nobody knows. The Supreme Court has said this is a political process, not a legal one. We're out. That's what the decision says. So you're playing a game of chicken. How far will Ottawa go to say no? How far will Albertans go to say hell yes? And you're both parties are now risking a bigger kind of conflict. And hopefully it won't get to that, but it might.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any more questions from the floor? Alden?
Okay. Now, my question, since federal government is a corporation owned by the British Crown, Alberta is a corporation owned by the British Crown, so everything is owned by the British Crown. If we become a republic, will we be owned by the British Crown, or are we going to be separate, sovereign, or from the British Crown? Because if we're wasting our time, if we're not.
Bruce?
Canada is not owned by the British Crown. Not anymore. That's not true. That actually is a conspiracy theory that's actually not true. Stay in the real world. You've got a country you want to leave. It's not productive to make the argument that the country doesn't exist. It does.
Rob?
We definitely don't need a monarchy. We have people in Ottawa that think they're the king right now, King Carney. We need a constitutional republic. And that's what a free and independent Alberta needs to become.
It's an honor to be in the room with all of you today, but Mr. Party, I came for you. So, in a good way, a couple ideas with regard to a constitution. Reagan wanted a line item veto, I would say either for a president or a governor of a territory. There's the idea that the government should not be able to take more than God does, so taxation limited to 10%. The Texas Republic had the primary residence protected from creditors, and then the Swiss Council elects a president out of 7 of them, but I might make it 5, that are elected for 1-year terms so that one person doesn't dominate. I'd like to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, those are all good ideas, but I think we should back up a step. If you're going to have an independent country with a new constitution, where do you start? What the Americans did is they took the British system and they kept some good stuff and they got rid of the rest. And the architecture of the American Constitution is the best one going. So my hope for an Alberta Constitution, I mean, these are good ideas. But you start with architecture, and what I would hope would happen is that Alberta would take the basic architecture of the American Constitution, keep what works, and then fix what hasn't worked. So you're doing the same kind of thing.
I think the AB 51ers are feeling emboldened with that answer. Next question, please.
Hi. So we've seen a lot of conversation in social media the last couple of weeks about, from the various chiefs saying Alberta can't leave, we can't, break our treaties, etc. So, considering the unique rights, histories, and treaties of Indigenous people in Alberta, how does the Republican Party plan to meaningfully include Indigenous voices in discussions around Alberta's potential separation? And I'm wondering what concrete steps you're going to take, or would this party take, to ensure that Indigenous communities are consulted and genuinely involved in shaping the direction of this foundational movement?
Well, thank you. We're not just saying what we want to do, we're acting on it. So our candidate in Edmonton Ellerslie is Métis. We have been meeting with hereditary chiefs and First Nations all across this province who are very much encouraged and supportive of what Alberta independence could mean for them. For far too long, First Nations in Alberta have been in an abusive and toxic relationship with Ottawa, just like we have been in. We're all Albertans, and for far too long, they haven't had a seat at the table. We're not partners in Confederation. They're definitely not partners with Ottawa. And so we have a unique opportunity when we forge a new Alberta to make sure that every Albertan has a seat at the table and is in a partnership in a bold and bright future that we can create together.
Hi there, a couple of comments.
Oh, hold on. We got one over here. 1 second.
First of all, meetings like this, they give me hope. Thank you for coming. Now, my question is, are we planning to go back to our moral foundations, to our Judeo-Christian principles? What is your opinion?
Last night I was asked where faith fits into our policies. And the best answer that I can think of was right at the top. That's where faith belongs.